Here we go, day 3 on the Lake Erie. I'm actually on the north side, the very top part of Lake Erie, and I got to go all the way down south, the long way, or the length of the lake. Uh, and that's going to happen to all 3 lakes, Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and Lake Michigan. Got to go from one end to the other end. But anyway, here we go. Today was actually a pretty nice day. As you can see, the water is nice and calm. Uh, there's not too many days like that, but this particular day it was. And here we are, go ahead and coming into the next little town where I'm going to see if I can find me a place to tie up or drop anchor or something like that. Anything coming close to that. As I was getting closer and closer into the mouth of the river, uh, started to realize that uh, where I was going, there was really no place at all that I could find where I could tie up or drop anchor safely anyway. Normally I try to find me a place that's nice deep water, and I ran into this park here. This is actually an RV park. It's not a marina of any kind. I went ahead and tied up anyway. Went and talked to the manager, and he said to go ahead and tie up. I knew there was bad weather coming tomorrow, so he said, "No, don't worry about it. Just tie up here. Don't, don't take off." So I went ahead and tied up, and I even gave him $20. I said, "Here, I know you guys got charities and stuff going on all the time, so add that to your little jar or whatever." And as you can see, here's some more geese. I mean, these things are all over the place around this area here, and there's found out there was so many ways to cook a geese and a duck. Now, I really didn't do that, so don't be sending me, comments and stuff about the poor ducks or the poor geese, because I didn't do nothing to them. I was just kidding about the menu of duck. But anyway, this is the next day, and I went ahead a nice, peaceful, calm day here. Nice of the guy to let me tie up and stay overnight at no charge. And like I said, it wasn't a marina or anything. It was just an RV park. And as you can see, when I start pulling away, you'll be able to see that there was a lot of RVs. A very nice little park. A lot of RVs tied up everywhere, or on land. And these are the people that head south during the summertime. He said that the whole place empties out once they start getting cold. So, and I kind of figured out that, yeah, this area up here where you get snow and ice. It's all seasonal. Not like Florida, where we boat all year long. We don't have to winterize our boats, and we can leave our boats in the water. Where these guys can't do that. They have to pull them out of the water, and they have to have them winterized. And I think they said they also store them like in a warehouse where it's nice and warm, or they shrink wrap them so that they'll have so they won't get cold and stuff in there. Apparently, they have to drain the water out so it doesn't crack the engines and all of that. But we don't have to do any of that in Florida, since we get to boat all year round. And I guess they all have its advantages and disadvantages. Up here it gets cold and they can't do it all year long. Down south, where you can boat all year long, it's always hot. So I guess it's the change of scene where it kind of cools down a little bit. It's better than nothing. But here we are heading out of the little town. It was a nice little town here, and I'm not sure where my next town is going to be, but I'm just going to go ahead and make the run. And as soon as I, probably after running for about 3 or 4 hours, I'll start looking uh, and see where I'm gonna, what little town I'm gonna go into, and try and find me a spot to stay. Uh, Here, everything turned out to be pretty nice. Even the little town itself was good. And they had a good price on fuel. I was able to fuel up and fill up both my tanks and my spare 5 gallon tank here, uh, because it's the first time in quite a while that I had seen the fuel price at a pretty good price. Uh, it was just a little bit under $5, and I thought, well, it's time to take advantage of that. So I did fill up both my tanks and my 5 gallon tank, and I figured that'll take me quite a ways before I'll have to think about putting fuel. It gives me about 135 mile range by filling up both tanks and the 5 gallon tank that I carry as a spare. Uh, so that's one thing I had to do while I was on the loop, is that I had to watch when to fuel up and try and get the best prices I can anywhere, because fuel prices were so high that it definitely put me way over budget as far as what I planned to spend on the trip. It turns out, at the rate I'm going, it turns out I'm probably going to double my budget. So good thing I had a couple pennies saved up in a savings so that I can draw out of there and be able to finish. If everything works out okay, if I don't have engine problems or anything else like that, and I don't have to dish out a whole lot of more money, I should be able to make it with what I got in my savings. But okay, here we go. We're just now leaving this little town, and once again, the water looks pretty good. I kind of checked the weather this morning. It's supposed to be calm, not supposed to be too bad, so I figured, well, that should do me pretty good as far as taking off and everything. So, well, I didn't record anything while I was out on the lake, because, like I said, it was pretty nice and smooth. Came into this little town and decided, okay, I've traveled already about 3 hours, and I decided, well, I come in here and find me a spot to stay, to spend the day. Turns out they were having a poker run, and as I was coming in, you're going to see all these big racing boats all lined up, everybody ready to go. Obviously, I was not going to find me a spot or a marina that was going to have any transit docking anywhere. Uh, so I just wasn't sure what I was going to do. I guess figured, well, I guess I'm going to have to find me a cove or a little creek somewhere where I can get into, that's shallow enough for me to get into and drop anchor and not have to worry about, a big boat coming over and running me over or anything like that. But I thought, well, definitely not going to find a spot anywhere as far as a dock anywhere, because like I said, there was a poker run running, so all the marinas were completely booked for any type of docks anywhere. So I'd figure, well, just keep going downriver and see what I can find. This was a nice little town also, pretty good. The river was, like I said, boat after boat after boat, and all these boats were kind of starting to head out and going and getting ready to run the poker run. I didn't ask, and I didn't know where exactly they were going to run to and back, but if it's like anything else, they pick certain bars to go hit, and they stop and then take off from there and go to the next place. And they'll normally stop maybe in 3 to 4 different places while doing their run, and then they time each other out, see who comes in the fastest and stuff like that. So it's costing me a lot of fuel to be doing the Great Loop. That was one thing I didn't anticipate on, that the cost of fuel was going to be so high. So when you think about these guys, filling up their tanks, which is probably a good $300, $400, $500 to fill up their tanks, and they're going to use up all that fuel just making that poker run. So uh, some people were saying this was not as big as some other years, and understandably, I'm sure there's a lot of people that decided not to do the run because of the price of fuel. I mean, when you're paying over $6, $6.50, $6.75 a gallon, and you're running one of these engines here, you're talking about these huge V8 engines. Some of them have dual V8 engines in them. Some of them have single V8 engines in them. But they still, they do suck up a lot of fuel, especially when you're going that wide open throttle like these guys are going to be doing when they're doing the poker run. So it's not cheap to run these poker runs right now because of the fuel price. So I did talk to a couple people that said that they didn't that they opted out and not to run this year on the race because of that reason. It was just going to be too not too cost effective, because some of them mentioned that, hey, you're talking about using up $500-$600 worth of fuel in a matter of 3 hours, and they said that it's just not worth it for them to make that kind of run. Although those are fun races and they're exciting to watch and all of that, unless you got a pocket full of money to be able to just throw away, like the old saying is, it's boating is nothing but a big hole in the water, and you just keep throwing money at it. But if you enjoyed the sports and you have the money, sure, why not? And there was a lot of boats, but one of the guys was saying this particular poker run is not as big as the previous years. They said last year they didn't have it because of COVID, but the couple of years before that, when they did have it, it was almost double the boats that are running today. And they said their registration was pretty low, but it was still enough to fill up all the marinas and everything around the area here. It got well, as I was going down the river, I saw this little place, and it was called the Deck Bar and Grill. And I thought, well, I'm kind of hungry, so I guess I'll tie up here. I know I wasn't going to find a spot anywhere, so not even trying to look for a spot. I decided I'm going to tie up right here at the place called the Deck, and it's a restaurant and bar. And I figured I'll grab something to eat and maybe talk to some of the locals. Maybe they know something about maybe a spot somewhere where I might be able to drop anchor, or maybe there might be some little shallow coves or a little creek somewhere I could go into. This was a pretty nice little restaurant, and actually it turned out to be a good deal. For me, for stopping here and deciding to eat. It turns out that the gentleman that owned this bar happens to own a property right next to the bar here, and it had a seawall just like you see right here. And while I was telling the bartender, I said, I picked a bad day to come in and try and find me a boat slip, because everything is full, obviously, because of the races. And he says, yeah, you're not going to find them. They've been booked for months at end because of this poker run race that they're doing. And as I was talking to her about it, she happened to mention about the owner having that little strip of property right next to his restaurant there with the seawall. And he says, I think you might be able to tie up there if he'll let you. You can tie up there and go ahead and just spend the night. He says, if you want, I'll be happy to call him. He's not here yet, but if you want, I'll be happy to call him and let him know whether he can help you out by maybe I don't know if you want to pay him or not, or he'll charge you or not. But anyway, I went ahead and finished eating and stuff, and as I was leaving, going out, here's this caravan of golf carts, and these guys doing the poker run, they basically were doing a poker run too, but they were doing it on their golf carts and they were bar hopping from bar to bar. This guy was carrying a little cannon with him in the back of his golf cart, and every time they stop, he would load up these. He's got some 12 gauge shells loaded up into it, and he was firing this cannon about. He fired it I think like 3 times. And they were pretty loud. The cannon fire was actually pretty loud. But anyway, they do this every time they have the poker run, and they line all these golf carts. They decorate them all types. This year they had a Key West theme, so you can see it looks like a lot of Florida stuff, the bright colors and everything. And it was supposed to be like a Key West style theme, and they did pretty good. It was pretty nice. Of course, they were all drinking, having a great time. Just riding around in these golf carts, bar hopping from one place to another. That gentleman right there, standing there, he was the one in charge of, making sure, I guess, everything went okay with the caravan here, and he was telling me about the little town there and how they do this almost every year now. This is the place called the Deck, and I want to thank the owner and everybody in there. They were all nice and friendly, and especially the owner, because he allowed me to use his little seawall to tie up overnight. Didn't even charge me. He just said, no, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and tie up on the seawall there, and you can stay there all night. And it was nice. I went ahead. I not only did I have lunch there, I went back and had dinner since he allowed me to stay there tied up on his seawall. Bought him a couple of drinks. Figured, well, it's well worth it. And it was called the Deck, the lounge and restaurant. So if you run in there, or you happen to be seeing the video and you know the place and you go in there, tell the owner I said thank you. Appreciate the stay. I'm not good with names. He did give me his name, and I'm not good at all at names. At my age, sometimes I don't even remember my own name. But anyway, this was a nice little area also. They have a lot of canals full of these boats, and all kinds of different boats lined up everywhere. And you can see the speedboats. Here they are coming back from the poker run. After they had run for about, I think they were gone like maybe 4 hours or something like that. And then they slowly started straggling in. And you can see some of them coming in already. Here was one poor guy. Here's one poor boat that didn't make it. He, I guess, had engine problems, and he had to get towed back in. And, that's a very awkward feeling when you're getting towed in by a sea tow or a boat, because your boat is not running. You got a lot of people making wisecracks about, about your boat and this and that, but, so they weren't very happy. As a matter of fact, they weren't even, they were all looking like they were working or doing something. They really didn't want to face the people as they were going by. Poor guys, I felt sorry for them. But hey, it happens. With anything else, it could happen to me. You never know. I might have to get towed in someday or something like that. But anyway, it was a pretty nice boat. It looked like they all have like company shirts on and sponsors and stuff like that. So I don't think money was an object to this particular boat, but something did go wrong with it. And all day long you saw these boats coming and going, or coming in actually. Some of them were, screaming and hollering. Some of them had a lot of people on board. They had been drinking, making all kinds of noise, and probably they were enjoying themselves more than concerned about whether they would win the race or not. And you do have a lot of them like that just go out just to go party. They overload the boats, which it's not good because they're not gonna actually go as fast as the other boats. But they also, a lot of couples are on board and they're drinking and just having a good old time. But anyway, uh, here was the next morning, and I got up and decided to go ahead and have my breakfast and everything. And they served breakfast there at the deck that day, so I even had breakfast there. So I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner there, figuring I could at least, give the guy some business since he did let me stay there. And once again, thank you. Appreciate the stay there. And if anybody runs into him and you're watching this video, tell him, hey, thank him for me, and I really do appreciate his generosity. There's not too many places, especially when somebody's in business that, will do things like that. But I know they're there to make money, but he knew the situation. And when I explained to him I was doing the Great Loop and I just happened to get stuck in this little town, by the time I realized I was not going to find a dock space, he said, hey, don't worry about it. Just tie up on the seawall right next to that empty lot there, and you can stay there all night. Don't worry about it. So there's still good people in this world. Not everybody is good, but most of the people that I've run into have been very, very nice. They've been good to me. They help me out. I've had people ask me, well, is there anything you need, or do you need to go to the store, or you need me to go get you something, or and it's amazing, how many people will do that for you. People I don't even know. They're perfect strangers. Never met them in my life before, and they're all willing to help out. But anyway, this is the following day, getting ready to take off again, get back in the Erie Canal. This is actually, I think, day 3 and day 4 on my travels to the Erie Canal. I've got probably 2 more days, maybe 3 more days, when I'll be down below. I'll be down in Detroit, by Detroit area. And I'll be getting on the Detroit River there and going through Detroit, and then going through a little lake called Lake St. Clair. And then after that, it'll put me into Lake Huron, which will be the second lake that I have to deal with as far as, doing the loop here. But here we go on the next trip here, and hopefully everything will work out good. There's a very nice little tiki bar right here. They were playing live music last night, and you could hear it all the way from where I was tied up at, to the point where I went ahead and took my little electric bike and went down there just to listen to the music for a little while. And it was nice. It was nice music. The band was playing. It was full of people, of course. All the boaters from the boat race were there, so they were all having a good time after the run. I guess maybe they were trying to forget about all the fuel they spent making the poker run. But hey, that's the way boating is. Sometimes they say, big hole in the water, just throw more money in. Or they use the term, break out another 1,000, which is, BOAT. And for me personally, it's, if you enjoy boating, the money's not that, it does factor in. Obviously, I'm not rich, but it does factor in the fact that, when I decided to make this trip, I had budgeted X number of dollars to that what everybody was kind of talking about it was going to take to make the trip. So that was the kind of money I had aside. But it turns out I'm almost doubling my budget. So, and that's if I don't have any problems, okay? If I end up breaking down or anything like that, obviously that's going to cost me more and put me more than double my budget. But that's where I'm looking at right now as far as what I've calculated, because I have been keeping track of everything I'm spending, and it does look like I'm definitely over budget. As a matter of fact, by the time I get to Lake Michigan, I would probably have expelled most of my budget. So then I would have to get into my savings and pour that in there, just so I can have enough money to finish the loop. But double it, okay, had to double it, but it's fun. I'm enjoying myself. It's one thing that I will probably never forget, you know. And I'm having a good time. I'm meeting a lot of people, a lot of different people. So many things to see everywhere you go. Every little town is different. So I can't complain. So here we go. Going to the next town, and then we'll see where we end up now. Like I said, I normally just travel about 3 hours, sometimes maybe even 4 hours. And then that's when I decide, okay, I'm done, and start finding a little port somewhere to go into and spend the night. So this is it. We will see you in our next episode, and I'll probably only be maybe 2 days, 3 days away from going down all the way down to the bottom of Lake Erie, and then starting Lake Heron. So until then, happy trails, and we'll see you in my next video. Have a good day. Bye.